Jarrett Roser here today with Zachary Starr, Chris Hilton, one of the top wide receivers in the country for the 2021 class. A state championship guy at Zachary, a multi-sport athlete, and as I mentioned, one of the most coveted wide receiver prospects at the college level with offers from LSU, Alabama, Georgia, really everybody nationwide. And we're gonna have some fun today. You got a chance to crack your back right before we got started. Make sure you're loose and ready to roll.
Yeah.
So Chris, man, I guess first up, I told you we're gonna have some fun, and I'm gonna throw you some kind of curveballs. But how's this spring been going? It's been such a weird time for everybody. You've probably been trapped in the house a little bit more than you used to this time of year. How are you and the family doing?
We're doing good. I'm just trying to stay safe and stay active at the same time, if you know what I mean.
What have been some of the things you've been able to do to kind of keep up that activity, and whether it be getting some technical type work in or just conditioning or whatever you've had a chance to do?
Well, I recently got done with school, so I finished all my schoolwork. And I've also been like working out. So like I'll work out at home or sometimes I'll go to the park and work out.
Nice. You feel like you've been able to keep up with stuff pretty well overall under the circumstances?
Yeah, it's not really like a big deal.
Yeah, good deal. I told you we talked some about this past year, which even before the craziness that everyone's dealing with was such a weird year for you, having the foot injury and surgery and delayed start to the season, and then able to get back into it a few weeks in. Looking back now that you're healthy again and full throttle and we're able to finish the season, but now you're kind of sidelined and couldn't do spring and camps and all that sort of stuff. What has this past year been like overall? I imagine it's been a little bit of a roller coaster.
First, I would want to say that like having an injury like that, like coming back from it from rehab, 90% of it is mental because there'll be like points in time where I would just be worried like when I came back, would I still be my old self or not? And like I just wanted to get back and like I couldn't, so it was hard. But the first game I came back, scored twice and I started getting my groove and then it just went on from there.
Hilton got his groove back around around district time.
Yeah. Like,
What I guess kind of you mentioned the difficulty and the challenges mentally of kind of staying focused. Can you expand a little bit more on that and just kind of some tough moments and some times that you had to really kind of consciously put yourself in the right frame of mind and not let it get you down, and just kind of what that process looked like for you?
all right, I'm gonna give you a story. So while the team would be at practice, I would go like in the training room and like rehab and stuff. We were doing a drill. Well, I'm not gonna say drill. We were doing like an exercise where I had to balance on my foot, and I just couldn't do it, and I was struggling, and I ended up catching the attitude with the trainer. So my coach, he came and told me, he was like, "These injuries are 90% mental, and you got to be strong in the head if you want to come back from it." And I just kept that in the back of my mind. And then, the rest was history.
You're so quiet and mild mannered. What does a Chris Hilton catch an attitude moment look like? Like you just give him a side eye? How does that go?
You can see it in my facial expression, basically. But like I'll talk to you a certain way.
I got you. Heading into this spring, it was your final off season from football, final kind of run through the recruiting process. How has the way 2020 has gone so far with all of the restrictions and everything affected you much, if at all? Because from a recruiting standpoint, you already had offers from all over the place. You had a chance to take some visits, certainly. I'm sure you had some others that you had on the agenda for this spring that have been kind of delayed. What has been kind of the overall adjustment for you in that realm of things?
Uh, Not a big one actually, because like the recruiting stuff, it all started to die down, so I didn't really have to worry about it as much. So basically, I was just focusing on myself and getting things done.
When it, and I guess kind of somewhat a piggyback off that, somewhat a piggyback off the previous question, was it that first live game or second live game or whatever where it kind of clicked for you that you were back to your old self, or was it later on, or when did that kind of click that all right, you had kind of returned to form a little bit?
I would say I don't even remember my schedule. What did we play? I wasn't. I'm not. It wasn't the first game back. The first game when I first came back, I knew that I could still be like my old self, but I probably wouldn't. It would probably be maybe the third game back when I started
Gotcha.
picking.
Yeah, cool. From the recruiting standpoint, you mentioned it's kind of died down and it's really just more about you making a decision. Do you have a set timeline in mind, or kind of a goal that you would like to have a decision by a certain point, or are you kind of waiting for this to clear up to get any final visits in, or what's kind of your outlook on those aspects of things?
Uh, let's see. I have something in mind, but it's not just what I'm looking for. Like I have an idea in mind, but it's not clear yet, so I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, just kind of like a loose direction you're
Yeah.
leaning a little bit, but nothing really finalized. I got you. Do you think that by the time whenever we have football again in the fall, you will be committed, not be committed, or unsure at this point?
By the time it starts,
By the time the football season starts, week 1.
uh,
Sounds
hopefully,
uncertain.
hopefully I'm committed, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, just kind of take it as it goes, like with everything else right now.
Yeah.
Well, like I told you, we're gonna have some fun. Folks that know you're a pretty quiet guy, and we've kind of joked about it a little bit when I was asking you about the attitude and stuff like that. I think it was the week y'all were off last year, and Carr was up here playing Catholic, and you kind of snuck up behind me and were kind of messing with me and my
Oh
sunglasses and
yeah.
stuff. And Coach Brew and them are like, "What's going on here? Like Chris is really kind of busting out of his shell a little bit more than they'd probably seen you do necessarily, at least with people outside the team." So hopefully we get a little bit more of that kind of fun with some of this. So I'll start easy with you. Favorite place to eat in or around Zachary? Where do you like to go? If there's one spot you got to hit, or someone coming through town's got to hit, what's the spot?
Through Zachary. There's a few. Me personally, I like
Yeah,
waffle because I'm like a breakfast guy.
yeah,
That's just my opinion. But if you just like coming through, you can go to Walk On. That's probably one of the best ones.
yeah. People love walk-ons in general, but people love that Zachary walk-ons and go sit up there for a while before y'all's games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to get you set up for a sponsorship down the road after you finish up college, get you to come back home and get some sort of restaurant sponsorship. What's your favorite color, man?
Favorite color, blue.
No, there was no hesitation on that. Was
Yeah.
that because of Zachary, or is that always?
No, always been my favorite color.
Is there any particular shade of blue? Is it like the Zachary type, like lighter blue or darker blue, or?
Like a darker blue.
Yeah. I guess Zachary uses kind of some different shades at times.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you about a favorite spot in Zachary. What would you say your favorite food just overall is? If it's like one dish that you have to have.
One dish I have. Lasagna. That's my favorite food.
Or always been lasagna. Grew up on it.
Yep.
Sweet. What's either your favorite trip you've ever been on, or your favorite place to visit when you kind of have an opportunity to do any kind of travel or have had a chance to do any kind of travel, not necessarily tied to like a college recruiting type thing, but just a place in general?
A place in general, I would say, let's see. There's two. So I've been to New York and Orlando, Florida. Those two. Those probably like the most fun I ever had, like going on trips. Especially because like both of them were basketball related. So I was with my teams then, and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Any trip you get to take with like one of your teams is always a blast, just because you'll remember what happened on the trip in terms of the sports side, but there's so much other stuff, just kind of the fun of getting out there and goofiness between everything. That's kind of been one of the biggest misses this spring with some 7-on-7 stuff for a lot of guys, really.
Yeah.
So I was originally going to ask this one a little bit later on, but you mentioned kind of your basketball background, which I think a lot of folks know, certainly football and track. But maybe not as many people have seen you get up and throw down some dunks on the basketball court, and what you can do over there. Of the three sports, what was of those three, or I guess including any other sports, what was your first like true love of a sport growing up?
It was basketball. Not a lot of people know this. Coming in to my freshman year, I originally was going to play basketball. It was like my whole freshman year, and I was going to come in and play football my sophomore year. But like I had a change of mind. I was like, let me go out and just see if I like it or not. And then that's when I ended up picking up my first offer. So I just ran with it then.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good for you, pretty early. And then you end up, obviously, for folks that hadn't seen you yet that year, a couple years ago, everyone statewide kind of had their eyes on the end of that game versus West Monroe and the screen. And that's kind of what, for any maps that you were not on yet, that's when you got there. People couldn't really ignore it at that point. Of your three sports that we kind of started mentioning, if there was one that you had to say you had to take away entirely, like not just for the future, but you just took that piece of your life out up to this point, football, track, and basketball, which one would you have to say, all right, like that's the one I got to give up if I've got to give up one?
It'll be basketball. There's more success in football than track for me.
Yeah. If you had said football, people were gonna go crazy, and we were gonna have problems. So I was nervous there for a sec, but good deal. We mentioned kind of your favorite trip or visit. If you were a place, whether it be a city, a place that you've been, some place around the world that you've seen, and just think, if Chris Hilton were a place on the map, what place would that be?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, we're gonna start getting weirder with it.
Let's see. If I were a place, I would say you could say Los Angeles. Basically, like, because like I know it's fun being out there, and like I'm a fun person to hang around.
Yeah, and what they say about the nice weather pretty year round is no lie. It's pretty sweet out there.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite musical artist, whether like an individual singer or whatever, or a group, anyone that puts out hits?
If any of my friends hear this, they already know who it is, because my favorite artist is J. Cole.
Yes! If any of my friends see this and they hear you say that, they're going to lose their mind. I like how big you smiled at that, too. Like, you had that answer locked in, ready to roll. So I'm definitely a big J. Cole guy, and at some point, Andrew Lopez, who he and I used to work together at NOLA.com with Jimmy and Amos and Julie and Sam and everybody. And
Mhm.
then whenever I left NOLA, he took my role and started covering more LSU for a while. And now he covers the Pels for ESPN. We were at a bar in Baton Rouge, kind of near where we live, Happy's Irish Pub downtown, where one of the main reasons we go is because we can control the jukebox. And we're sitting there catching up, and two girls walk by, and one of them says, "Yeah, so this bar always plays a lot of J. Cole." And Lopes looked at me as like, "She must only come like when you're here, because I don't think I've ever heard anyone play J. Cole other than like you come here and take over the jukebox with it." Have you had a chance to see him live?
No, but I want to. That's one of my goals.
Got to. It was I think it was the For Your Eyes Only tour a couple years ago when he did the varsity, so it was like a little bit smaller of a venue, and it was awesome.
Right.
What is your favorite Gatorade or Powerade flavor?
I think it's just called orange. I think that's my favorite one.
I'm not sure, and I don't ever really remember what the actual flavors are
Me
called
neither.
anyway. I just
Me
say
neither.
I like orange, I like blue, I like the other blue. What is your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? Mhm. I'd probably say drowning.
Drowning.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any like scary experiences with that stand out, or it's more of like an abstract thing that you just know it's not something you want to be a part of?
Not really.
Uh, what would be if you had to pick 3 words to describe yourself, not necessarily just football player, athlete, or whatever, just Chris Hilton Jr., the dude, 3 words.
3 words? Quiet, number one.
That's a good one.
I'm chill all the time, so chill would be number 2. And I'm funny at times when I want to be. If you catch me on the
Yeah, no doubt. I'd agree with all that. Who, and not looking at you and your class finishing up, but just kind of growing up around Zachary. I mean, you've played with some great players the last couple of years, like Keelan and company, who are finishing up right now, or I guess just finished school. You've been around enough to know about Lindsay and Kelton and Doug
Yeah.
and those guys. Who is the best player to come through Zachary, at least in the last 5 to 10 years, if not ever?
I would say Doug.
Doug.
Yeah.
Talk some more
Because
about that, because people probably don't realize like the type of athlete that Doug was, doing a lot of different things, and I think we've seen some of it as he transitioned into a new role at Texas Tech and whatnot. But what stands out about Doug?
his work ethic, because I work out with him day to day. So I'm with him all the time. And just the way that he works, you know what I'm saying? He works real hard. So basically why.
Where are you going to hide when Lindsey Scott sees this?
No hard feelings, but it's just an opinion, you know.
Yeah, you can kind of craft your game a little bit more after Doug too than you could Lindsey, just positionally. So
Yeah.
just use that as the
Excuse.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are some of the guys on the team right now that, whether in your grade or coming behind you, that are maybe not on as many radars as you think they should be? Some underrated guys that you think Louisiana football fans need to know, and some of these colleges need to do a better job of getting after?
My receiver, Charles, he's
No
one.
doubt.
Ralph Walker, Elijah Hill, and Prince Johnson. Those guys.
Yeah, some good ones. If you were a superhero, what superhero would you be? Are you a big superhero like Marvel or DC or any of that? You are? Which one? Marvel.
Yeah. Superhero. Probably. I'm trying to think. Iron Man.
Iron Man. What made you settle in on that?
He's rich.
What would you say would be like your spirit animal? Like if there was an animal that embodied your vibe or mentality, what would the animal be?
As far as my vibe, panda.
Panda. Because of like the general chillness and whatnot.
Yeah.
What about when you get onto a football field or basketball court or track or whatever? Would it still be panda or would that shift?
It's hard to say because like I don't never get like hyped up like during games. Like I try to like keep myself calm. So it could probably still be a panda. But it could also be like it could also be a tiger, if you're being honest.
Yeah. You got kind of the stalk, quiet danger type thing going on. I was figuring we were gonna come out of this call with your nickname being like Silent Assassin or Cool Breeze or something, and next thing I know, it's turning into Chris Panda Hilton. So, if you were an animal sound, I'm gonna limit you on this too. If you were an animal sound, which would you be out of meow, moo, roar, gobble, hiss, or hoot?
Hiss.
Hiss?
Yeah.
Same sort of like quiet type thing?
Yeah.
At this point, I'm like pulling cards out of board games. A popular question that came around, really the internet in general, but certainly the LSU program the last couple of years, and Garrett Brumfield was really kind of pressing it a couple of years ago. Can water be wet?
Can water be wet? So basically, is water wet?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
You've heard this whole debate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I want to say this? So, like, when you get in water, you get in it, you come back out, you're wet. You know what I mean? But, like, is water by itself wet? I don't really know. I'm going to say yes. But, like, something being wet, like, wet is an adjective. So, it's hard to say, if you're being honest.
I'm gonna let you slide. They're gonna press you on that harder and make you. They're gonna make you pick a side harder than if it was a political race or something. Right. If you were a toy, which would you be? And I'm gonna give you options again, but if it ends up being one outside of this, you can tell me that too. But of these toys, would you be a chemistry set, a teddy bear, a magic set, Transformers, or Play-Doh?
Transformers.
Yeah. Did you play with Transformers much growing up?
A little. I watched the movies though.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you'd seen the movies. Would there be another answer to that question that wasn't in those choices that you would have gone with? Did you have like a favorite toy growing up or anything?
Not really. No. Mm-mm.
What is one thing about you that you think your teammates or coaches would say that as if you ask them about something about Chris Hilton that people don't know, what would they say first thing about you?
Um, what would they say? That when it's time to get things done, I get it done. Basically, that's the bottom line.
And then I wanted to ask you too, I mean, we mentioned you bust onto the scene for anyone that hadn't heard of you already with that screenplay and just kind of taking the ball, finding that seam and getting up the sideline. You're known for your leaping ability, so jump ball is obviously a huge piece of your game. But you've really, particularly as your career's going on, you've rounded out your game that much more. What is the thing on the field that when you do it is like your most fun thing or thing that you kind of feel like is your biggest calling card of anything, or just kind of one thing that stands out of the array of them?
I would say just catching the ball in tough situations. It's one of the things that I'm good at.
When you say tough situations, you mean like traffic or like a clutch moment late in a game?
Like in traffic, just coming down with the ball.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I'm sure we've probably hit a lot of questions that you have not been asked before. And I mean, any other thoughts if for folks that are still getting a handle on who Chris Hilton is, anything that or any stories that we haven't ever shared that you think are kind of interesting or kind of stand out about who you are?
I wouldn't say it's about, well, you could say it is. All right, so back in New York, I was with my basketball team, and they took us to Times Square. Yeah. So we had to park in the garage, and we had to get in the elevator. So mind you, I'm not the tallest, but like I'm not one of the shortest. So I'm like in the middle. And there was about 12 of us. So we had to go up to get to the car. So us being dummies, we all got on the elevator at the same time. So mind you, we're supposed to go up. So we pressed the button. It was like all of us, the coaches were on the elevator too. We pressed the button to go up, and we went straight down. And then we got stuck. And one of my teammates, he started freaking out. And then you could see like the door started fogging up, and we were stuck for like maybe 10 minutes, and we tried to call the people from the elevator. But my coaches ended up prying the door open with their hands, and we were all able to get out.
How far did it drop? It just like went like half a floor to where you were in between sort of thing?
Kind of, yeah, because like when we opened up the door, you could still see like the wall that was in front.
Weird. I really appreciate any story that starts with us being dummies as the start to is going to go entertaining. But
Yeah.
good deal, man. Chris, I appreciate you. I know I've probably taken up more of your time so far this morning than we were even really banking on, but I hope you had fun. I know I did.
It was good.
Good deal, man. Always a pleasure catching up. Again, he's Chris Hilton, standout athlete at Zachary High, one of the top wide receivers for the 2021 class nationwide, and getting ready to make a college decision here at some point in the next few months. I'm Jarrett Roser.